is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Hey everyone, the USF 2000 is a blast to drive now, and here's your chance to learn it quickly. From my tutorial, VRS created a free bonus track guide for the Laguna Seca circuit, where you can learn exactly what I do in every corner to improve your lap times and get faster on track. You'll learn how to easily recognise brake markers, you'll find out which curves to attack and which ones to avoid, you'll know when to use the full track, and when a sequence of corners requires a compromise. And you'll learn how hard to brake and when to lift. The VRS quick reference track maps are available free to download and delivered each week to your inbox. The entire global MX-5 series is available, as well as bonus maps like this one and many more. So if you're a new racer, or a veteran, or just anyone who wants to learn how to get faster sooner, the VRS track guides are for you. Just hit the link or button on screen and get yours today.
Well, hope your week's going well. Welcome to Club Day Masters on SimSpeed TV on a Monday night. We have a regular race format before us with two races here at Interlagos. Famous track, a full name that you've got to correctly pronounce, so I'll give it a miss for the moment. But our drivers are getting ready, and my goodness, what an exciting track for these Audi TCRs it will be. David Haynes, I'm joined by Nick Skariev. Nick, what are we thinking? Long pit straight, long straight from turn 3 to turn 4, plenty of overtaking, and then a bit technical in the middle bits where they can get side by side.
Yeah, exactly there, Dave. Thank you for having me, and you're exactly right there. Very long sections, but also really long continuous corners as well. So we'll see these front tyres of these front-wheel drive Audis kind of screaming out for mercy. Some of these really long corners, more particularly maybe in our feature race. Anyways, we do have our Heat 1 15-minute race coming up.
The stats and the names: Senna S, and then through Curva do Sol, Cida del Lago, Ferradura, Pinheirão, Bico de Pato, and Yunsao. And up towards the pit straight. Plenty of track, plenty of excitement. And then, of course, also sometimes a challenging pit exit on cold tyres as well. Keep an eye out for that one in race number 2. Speaking of, I hope we've got the graphic for that. Oh, here it is. 2 races tonight, and they are a 15-minute race coming up after qualifying. Race 1 sets the grid as well for race number 2. So you want to move forward in that race 1, but you don't want to go backwards. And then there will be a compulsory pit stop in race number 2 and the chance of a safety car. I think we've had it 3 out of the last 3, so keep an eye on that one. But right now, qualifying, which is going to set the grid for race number 1, and they are all out there at the moment, as you can see on these live shots. More than 20, or at least 20-ish TCR cars. And here they are all around, and it is a humid day, I think most days of the year in most places of Brazil that we think of, but it's quite foggy and misty.
Yeah, it's definitely, well, they describe it as light fog, but their version of light maybe a bit heavier in some other parts of the world, but you're exactly right there. Just checking out the weather at the moment. 20 degrees outside, 22 there on track, so not too many changes here at the moment. Just having a look at Jack Boyd as he comes through another lap, leading those, leading that time table there as well. Andrew Hobby just in behind. But sorry, just as you were saying there with our format as well, so there's no reverse grids, no nothing there of the sort. It's all progressive grids, so you make one mistake and get yourself out the back of the field, you've got to work your way all the way back to the front, and that includes both race 1 and the feature.
Yep, so into the final minutes of this short, sharp qualifying session, and you can see a lot more time starting to come on towards the board. We've got 12 for the moment. Brenton Hobson did well for himself last round, and he's hoping to improve with this time to take him from 13th on the grid, but the answer is no, not yet. So looking at those times, I think he's probably only got 2 more flying laps left in this qualifying session, Mr. Brenton Hobson.
Yeah, just on board on the nose at the moment. Then Nicholas Scaife just seeing up the road there. They're very bright wheels there of Sam Lehman, so they're just starting off their lap there at the moment. Very, very open. You can see a lot of emphasis on that draft as well, trying to be able to sit in. So really nice flowing course that we have here tonight. Very much a bit like Watkins Glen we had last week. Nice big open corners. They're really lending themselves to the high speed aero package that we have here on our Audis.
Into this section where it just keeps flowing through the corners until you get around to Yunsao. Now, this is one of those places where they've got to be careful with the track limits again during qualifying, getting too wide out there, and then through this next left-hander, the curbing on the exit here, you can get a bit too far out there and get yourself in some trouble as well, but everything clean and tidy so far from Nicholas Scaife, and he's in the right place to pick up a slipstream off Sam Lehman, who I think is still just in the right place to be picking up a slipstream off the 2 Drop Bear Motorsport cars. Is that going to be McFarlane and Hydes? Boyd's going to go to the top of the times. Hydes into second. Hobson, we're looking at 42.4. That is, he's left it a bit late in the session, but boy, he's gone straight to the top with that one. Slipstreaming off one of the other drivers there as well, potentially right towards the end, and it is uphill, massively uphill onto that pit straight. So a slipstream is good because the sort of percentage of time at full throttle is greater because it's uphill, even if the length is, not as much as some other longer straights. So the slipstream comes into extra effect by the amount of time on throttle, not just the length of the straight.
Yeah, we just see him in behind as well. Ventigiato there. See Ivan a little bit further down than when we normally see him there. He's usually always nudging somewhere in that top 4 position. Currently sitting in 6th there. Aaron Oliver there, sitting not too bad.
Some would argue he is normally nudging someone in the top 4 positions.
That's exactly right there. So getting a pretty good spread here at the moment there. I think that might be Wayne Losh there in 14th, so a little bit further down than when we normally see him. He's been very competitive in some of our league series over the past few weeks for sure, as we just see Jack Boyd come over the line again. Still in 2nd place there, so no improvement. Still about just under a second down. Just having a look there at Darren Sharp now as he comes through.
Exactly, we've got 19 cars and only 2 of them without qualifying times at the moment. Dare I say, unironically, the Sharps are at the other end of the field, but it's Adam Sharp and Darren Sharp yet to post the time, but this one is looking good for Darren Sharp. Our pole in the 142s at the moment. He's come across the timing line already, and he is going to get a lap time in. 44 there puts Darren Sharp to 16th and Adam Sharp went to 13th. So now everyone has a qualifying time, and just as well, because everyone who's parked or on pit lane now, that's going to be the end of their session.
So the Sharps are not at the pointy end of the field.
Yep. Doesn't look like anyone else is going to get around to complete any more laps either. And look at that tree there. There's also a bit of breeze in the air once again to go with the mist and the fog. You think it'd clear the mist out eventually, but it just seems to be bringing more of it. This is how we're going to start for race number 1. Brenton Hobson commandingly on pole position, but then it is oh so close from second on back with Jack Boyd, Leigh Harrison, Thomas Martin, Caleb Hydes, and Andrew Hobby all covered by just 0.3 of a second. Then similar story here in the meat of the field with Vantagiato, Glenn Boyd, Aaron Oliver, Daniel Gomez, Corey McFarlane, Nicholas Scaife rounding out the top 12, all of them super close on qualifying times as well.
Yeah, that's right there. Adam Sharp and Sam Lehman there. Wayne Losh, Darren Sharp, Anthony Connors, and Greg Holmes there on row 9. And we've got Philip Paradisio bringing up the end of that field.
So let's look at those conditions again. As we said, misty, overcast, bit of fog, therefore quite cool in the air and on the track. Well, 20 in the air and 22 on the track.
Hold on to your hat though, Dave. 29 miles per hour, or 47 kilometres an hour, blowing from the northwest, so big wind.
And we are going to get underway. There goes the green flag. Everyone took to the grid. It accelerated our starting procedure, and there is Hobby trying to gain a couple of positions, slotting it 3 wide down the middle on the run in towards the centre S for the first time. Decent enough run from your pole sitter Brenton Hobson, but he is under pressure from Leigh Harrison, and Hobby's got in a bit hot, caught a little bit of the grass, and that is not what you want to do on cold tyres on lap 1. He's back sandwiched in the middle 3 wide, giving Aaron Oliver a little piece of his mind there as well. Hobson still leading from Boyd, Leigh Harrison in 3rd, and the Retro-Reposta, they are 2 wide for a long way back in the field here, and that is right around the outside for Hobby. He has been having action in all 4 of the 4 corners he's had so far now, using the track limits very, very generously to stay in front of Glenn Boyd.
Yeah, Glenn Boyd almost on the attack as well, so pretty clean getaway there. We did see a bit of that side contact there between Hobby and Aaron Oliver there. Oliver there under attack. I think that might be Corey McFarlane trying to get that overlap. He's just tucked in behind there. So Nicholas Scaife just defending off Sam Lehman just a little bit further back.
Well, action here. McFarlane still looking everywhere at Aaron Oliver, who got moved a little bit sideways through Curva de Sol, but it was 3 wide. Someone kind of had to give somewhere somehow. Hobby again extending the track limits every which way he can, and we're on to the pit straight for the first time again to complete lap 1. Hobson leading Boyd from Leigh Harrison. Slipstream in full effect. We look at Leigh Harrison looming, menacing, prowling here. Hides in 4th. Vantagiato leading a bit of a train in 5th, but they're all going to stay in the same order there in the top 3 as they come in towards turn 1. It's Thomas Martin, who led the field at one of the restarts, Watkins Glen, a week ago. He's trying to have a bit of a dig here. I think he was looking at Vantagiato, might have gotten a little bit wrong, and now Hobby is with him. And Collins and Philip Paradiso are both trying to right themselves in turn number 2 after coming together, I think.
Yeah, it's right there. Oh, I just had Corey McFarlane as well go off there on the straight, so we've just had a few incidents off camera there. We might have to potentially run back to a replay there. So we had a very clean restart there, but all has fallen apart there, and you can see that wheel hanging off that drop air motorsport car, so he's not going to be able to turn that around. It does look like he's going to abort to the pit lane.
He's got no wheels correctly on his wagon. There's, okay, a little bit of side-by-side with Gomez. So Scaife around the outside. Bunch of cars barreling down on him here. Oh, he ends up in the middle 3 wide, loose and into the wall as well. So, yeah, from turn 2 through turn 3 and then onto the straight, he was just on the back foot, getting pushed around a little bit.
Yeah, a bit like a pinball there in between. I think it might have been Sam Lehman there and Andrew Hobby who's fallen down just a little bit as well. But gee, Jack Boyd is right on that rear bar of Brenton Hobson. It does look like he's going to make a move there. Leigh Harrison a little bit further back though. He'll be making that draft as they come on the straight. That draft will be very much in full effect, especially with those high winds.
Boyd and Hobson were best buddies at Watkins Glen though, remember? They both left each other a couple of love notes on the rear bumper down the long straights that we had there at the no bus stop classic bootless layout of Watkins Glen, the all slipstream no corners variant. Now it might change though, because this is Boyd looking down the inside here to take the lead away from Hobson, and he does even keep it within track limits by appearances there. It's meant that Harrison and Hides and Vantagiato are your top 5, just starting to streak away as they battle over 6th between Hobby and Martin. Harrison is right in the picture for the lead there as well. So is Hides. I think Vantagiato is going to join them shortly as well.
Yeah, you can just see that overtake has actually pushed him just back a little bit. It's actually Vantagiato there doing a great job there, bridging that gap. So bridging out from Thomas Martin and Andrew Hobby in behind. He's going to make this group of 4 into a group of 5.
Sure is. Everyone running except Corey McFarlane, who's parked it so far in race 1. 5 of 15 minutes done. This race is going to go by pretty quickly, but I think the action is still to come in the second half of this race. Boyd's lead starting to stretch out. Leigh Harrison down the inside here of him on the pit straight. Leigh Harrison following in the slipstream to try to get around Hobson. Now going to have to do the work down the inside at turn 1. And will slide across in front. You've got to make that happen, because otherwise the driver can come around the outside of turn 1, has the inside for turn 2, and get right back past you. So you've got to make that move convincingly, make it determined, and get your car all the way clear, all the way in front of the driver you're trying to pass.
Yeah, absolutely. There you can just see how strong that draft is with Brenton Hobson there on the back of Leigh Harrison there at the moment. You just see a little bit of a gap forming up with Jack Boyd, just a little bit up the road. It looks to be about half a second or so. So if these two keep fighting the way they are, especially with Caleb Hides in the mix as well, is Zach absolutely going to hand it to Jack Boyd and give him that advantage and try and get it to the line. Is just having a look there, fastest lap of Jack Boyd as well.
Yeah, almost everyone's time's in the 1:43s at the moment out front. Andrew Hobby has gone faster, as you can see. Oliver and Glenn Boyd having a little scrap there, but it doesn't end like Hamilton and Albon. Hobby's gone faster, but it hasn't counted for the fastest lap of the race based on his proclivity for extending the track in places.
Just catching off screen as well. I think Sam Lehman dropping a few positions as well, so a bit of battling here in this pack down. A little bit further down, we are going to stick with our front runners here at the moment. Jack Boyd, you can just see Leigh Harrison just pulling there. Caleb Hides there up on the inside, just showing a nose there on Brenton Hobson as well. I think Brenton Hobson's going to have that inside line as well. It's actually just off camera there, or he's just coming a shot there. Corey McFarlane rejoining the race as well, so he's going to try and get a few more laps in. He won't be with this lead pack here, but he will actually be in the mix with the next pack a little bit further down.
Should be interesting then. Boyd leading. Harrison's closed him up a little bit. Hobson's gone from the lead to second, back to third. Now got Hides lining up behind him, but behind Vantagiato, and even further back, this is that P10 battle. Scaife and Gomez side by side here. Then Adam Sharp, Sam Lehman, Anthony Connors, Darren Sharp, Wayne Losh. They're all stuck together here in this pack. And Hobby and Martin have managed to catch the top 5. So now it's a top 7, which is interesting to see. Greg Holmes, Philip Paradiso, Corey McFarlane, the only 3 of our 19 drivers not currently engaged in a battle pack of some kind. Is Lehman trying to get one of those spots back? But again, he's got to get all the way down the inside there, because otherwise track goes back to the left here at Magulo. He's looking again at the final corner. By numbers, not the final corner, but by braking zones, the final corner. There's the over-under, the good old switchback. Clever stuff from Adam Sharp. He's got, I think, another like 90s supercars tribute livery on. It's hard to tell.
I think both him and Darren are keeping it with the electrical theme as well. So the middies there of Darren Sharp, and I think that might be electrical company as well.
Hyde's got a problem. He's gone from 4th to the back of his pack in 7th.
Yeah, he's dropping a lot of time there as well.
Replay. So he's slipstreaming up behind Hobson. That's where we saw him last, thinking about trying to make the move on Hobson. Things all close up a bit at the front, and then what happens? He's looking around the outside. Oh, he gets that grass on the outside. On turn-in, it's so easy to do because the track starts gently kinking towards the apex before the turn proper begins. And he's just caught a little bit of the grass on the outside.
Yeah, very fortunate there not to sustain any damage there, as we just see Andrew Hobby there. Definitely feeling like he's got a bit of pace. We did see a lot of pace in qualifying as well, so he's trying to get a move up on Vantagiato there. Just see that gap slightly opening up now into that top 3 to Vantagiato. It's almost that Caleb Hydes was that car in between that gap, so it's actually has not worked into these two favour. It's actually done them a bit of a disservice because they now don't have anything that they can hook onto in the way of the draft. So we'll see Andrew Hobby's going to get a really good run there, but Vantagiato there is going to be up against a big wall of the air down this straight here.
Hobby's a man possessed so far in this race, isn't he? Looking for 4th. Vantagiato, as you said, a little bit adrift, hung out to dry, trying to cover the inside. 1 move, 2, and they are going to go side by side into the center S. Martin trying to set up for the over-under as well. And then Hyde's recovering along with him as well. No move able to be made that time for Andrew Hobby as they started 3 laps to go in this one. Quiet for the top 3, but from here on backwards, it's a bit nutty. Hyde is having a look at Martin. Martin considering a move on Hobby, and Hobby still trying to size up Vantagiato, and he's going to try to come all the way around the outside. No room given. He's giving a real nudge to the rear bumper of Vantagiato, who holds the inside for Ferragura. Oh, no room there at all. Hyde moves Thomas Martin out of the way at Ferragura.
Yeah, potentially we could see a potential race control incident out of that there. So a bit unfortunate for Thomas Martin though. Has recovered pretty well, thankfully. Nice big runoffs here at Interlagos as well, but you'd have to say there, Caleb Hydes, this is going to add even a little bit more stress to Vantagiato there. He's fighting off left and right with Andrew Hobby. He's actually slowing these two right up by taking these defensive block lines as he comes through. So Hobby's going to try, and again, you can't even put a piece of paper between these two, but you'll see Caleb Hydes is going to get an almighty run on both of these as they come across the start-finish line.
Yeah, 2 to go. Our top 3 all lined up there. Now 4th place, looking backwards from Vantagiato. Andrew Hobby pulling for a run, wants to get down the inside. He didn't get absolutely nothing there from Vantagiato. Hydes is going to look down the inside. What on earth? Is it 3 wide? It is 3 wide. Vantagiato is going to get hit. Hobby's all the way around the outside, so he gets another hit. Now he's down the inside of Vantagiato, still 3 wide. Almost a hit on the tail of Hydes. Vantagiato is going to lose out, and Oliver arrives at speed, trying to come around the outside of Curva de Sol. And he's maybe just going to make it work. Martin might be the next. Is there damage? Or is he just offline getting beaten backwards? Or is there maybe a puncture or something going on?
Yeah, we did see a little bit of damage there on that front bar of the Italia Vantagiato. Audi there as well. I think that might
Gomez
have been
and Scaife, and Adam Sharp's going to go through the inside, take a spot away. Sam Laven's trying to get down the inside there. Scaife doesn't see him coming until he's right there. Now Gomez shoots right back into that gap as well. It's all on here. Vantagiato just losing out to Glenn Boyd as well. He seems to be really, really suffering, and there's still another lap to go after this one.
Yeah, it's almost a bit, it's not white flag yet, but they're absolutely hammering each other like it would be. So pandemonium here all the way through. I think one of the big gainers there is Aaron Oliver there, qualifying really well there, dropping back unfortunately with some of that early contact. Has worked his way back up there as well. Thomas Martin a little bit further back now, but it is all eyes on Andrew Hobby. So he's the one that's going to need to defend. He's the one that's pulling this train along.
Yep, he's got just a little bit of room to hide. This is your top three. Starting the final lap, Jack Boyd starting to break away. Thank you, Barney. I thought he'd have a bit more of a tan in Brazil. He's looking a little pale on the timing stand there, but Hobson and Harrison, oh so close. Now, defending against Aaron Oliver, Hides had to get offline, get out of the slipstream of Hobby, and that gives just a little bit more breathing room to the Flight Centre Racing on board with Oliver in the Penrite colours, right up behind Caleb Hides, the Drop Bear Motorsport machine, and you can see they carry so much speed out of turn 3, immediately up the gears, slipstreaming down Reta Aposta towards Cedar del Lago, and oh, that is in super hot for Hides, and I think he's going to lose out. Aaron Oliver goes through.
Yeah, I don't think Aaron Oliver thought he was going to get it that easy there. We knew that Oliver has done a fair few overtakes in that spot there, so he went super deep under the brakes there.
I think Martin was thinking about returning the favour into Ferradura this lap around. He wanted down the inside of Hides for real.
Oh, all three, almost three wide there through that section as well. Hides there with the nose just up on the inside there of Aaron Oliver. Aaron Oliver having to yield away there. This is going to actually give Oliver that inside again. Hides going to have to go the long way around.
Oh, and they barge and biff and trade panels once again, and Martin's going to try to cross back underneath, give him a nudge towards the rear corner. Time has run out. We are on the final lap. Through the final real corner comes Martin and Hides and Boyd. Up front, though, Jack Boyd is clear of Brenton Hobson. And Leigh Harrison is in third. That looks like the order that they're going to take the checkered flag in. Oh, so close. All three of them within a second or so. Andrew Hobby, all on his lonesome in fourth. It's a drag race between Martin and Hides, and I think they might almost lean on each other before the line, but Martin just takes it away from Hides. Aaron Oliver besting both of them, and Glenn Boyd joining up on the pack as well. Here's your drag race once again. Nick Scaife, speedway line, takes it away from Gomez, just ahead of Anthony Connors and Wayne Losh. Bandicciato ended up finishing in ninth there, and he was a solid 2-3 seconds off the pace. And is that just a friendly hello? I think it's friendly. They didn't really trade panels during the race, and this is after the checkered flag.
There we go. As well as Aaron Oliver, who definitely traded paint with a few people there in that first race.
I thought that was pretty good, all things considered, though. Jack Boyd's going to be happy. He bags the points, and he's going to start race 2 from pole position. Brendan Hobson started from pole in race number 1, got sent back a little bit, but then came back into second place. Not bad for a driver who struggled for consistency here and there throughout this season. Leigh Harrison rounding out the podium there. Andrew Hobby had a lot of fight on his on his hands and on his mind in race number 1, and Aaron Oliver in 5th, Thomas Martin in 6th, just beaten out Caleb Hides there by less than a tenth of a second. Glenn Boyd following up behind them. Bandicciato must have had some pretty significant damage because he was lapping 3-4 seconds off the pace, but still limped it to 9th, and Adam Sharp completed the top 10.
Yeah, just outside the top 10 there, Sam Lehman fighting off Nicholas Scaife and Daniel Gomez there as they almost had that big drag race across the line there. Anthony Connors, Wayne Losh there, Darren Sharp, Philip Paradiso, Greg Holmes, and we did see Corey McFarlane finish a few laps down after that big incident there on lap 2.
Yeah, so all of them on the lead lap, bar Corey McFarlane, who is going to have to start race number 2 from the back of the grid. But there's certainly opportunity in the longer 40-minute race with the compulsory pit stop, with the chance of a safety car. We've seen drivers come from right at the back of the grid to still finish on the podium, to still contend for the win in this championship. Club Day Masters is brought to you by SimWorks Race Simulators, Automotive Towing, Digital Marketing Drive, Palmer's Extreme Air Conditioning, and now Global Logistics. Race 2 is not far away. We'll take a little break and we'll come back with Race 2 of Club Day Masters.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?
Welcome back to a very, very overcast circuit, Interlagos, Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, or whatever it is. Yeah, very, very overcast and windy and blustery indeed. And we're getting ready for race number 2. There it is, 40 minutes. Drivers start off with fuel to get them about halfway. And at that stop, they've also got to change 2 tyres. So we might see some pit early, some pit later. Who knows, except for the fact that we're probably going to get some pretty damn good racing, given the way the slipstream has worked on the pit straight, down the back straight, and the drivers have wanted to battle each other through the twisting corners and the undulations here of Brazil's most famous, most recognised, most well-known circuit. Let's look at the grid for race number 2. Jack Boyd on the pole, looking for the clean sweep. Qualifying hero Brenton Hobson also starting on the front row there, looking for more consistency and more podium finishes. Then Leigh Harrison, Andrew Hobby, Aaron Oliver, Thomas Martin. They're underway very, very quickly now. The rest of the grid, as they finish race number 1, they all barrel down towards turn number 1. Leigh Harrison trying to come around the outside of Brendan Hobson, still keeping his nose in there, and Hobson on the cold tyres, sensibly giving him some room. That looked like Thomas Martin getting in a little deep at the second apex there, and Nick Scaife around the outside of Curva de Sol in green and orange is going to try to slot between Thomas Martin and Glenn Boyd, and in the end he is going to slot into that pack. Martin on the defensive, because Scaife is coming with a huge head of speed, braking oh so late around the outside. You got to be careful after turn 4, the track really drops away and out into that runoff area, and it'll suck you out there just like it did for Sam Lehman under pressure from Glenn Boyd. Glenn Boyd, I think, might just have the speed up the hill here to come back across there, but it's actually working for Sam Lehman, who's holding his own, holding his ground, and Adam Sharp behind doesn't know which way to go with them. Your top 5 still in the same order as they started the race, but behind that, it's gloves off.
Yeah, absolutely. There, great work there by Sam Lehman, absolutely holding his ground there as well. And this will be one to see. Corey McFarlane shooting all the way up from 9th position, up 6 places here at the moment. So just having a little bit of a look here at our front runners at the moment. So we're not going to see too much action. It's a real strategy game here with our feature race there as well. So it's all about getting that over and undercut with the pit lap strategy.
Corey McFarlane from the very back of the grid is up to 13th now already. I just saw him trying to have a dive at Glenn Boyd and Sam Lehman. Now he's lost out to Adam Sharp, so something's going on for him. But the front runners, Jack Boyd, always good on the restarts, always good on the cold tyres, trying to stretch the field out, trying to run away. Here is Corey McFarlane. He was in front of Adam Sharp. Now he's gone and lost it, and it's created, a big move down towards the inside there for him, trying to get down the inside on Adam Sharp. It's driven a wedge between our top 11 cars and the pack being led in 12th on back. It's a 2-class race now.
Yeah, absolutely. Also just caught off camera there as well, Caleb Hyde. So he got thrown through the absolute, through that infield there. So he'll be taking a slowdown. You just see everyone kind of coming past him. He's just blocked off there from Glenn Boyd. And just having a look up further as well. So he just pulled out in front of Glenn Boyd and his teammate there, Corey McFarlane. Just seeing there, Andrew Hobby all over the back there of Leigh Harrison. So whether or not he might try and get around at the moment, we're just seeing Aaron Oliver there bringing up this 5-car train.
Indeed. This is our top 5. More drama further back there. Anthony Connors, I think, is in the middle of a sandwich. Oh, he sure is. Paradiso to one side. That must be Losh to the looking down the inside here. Back out of it. Holmes wants a piece of this. Darren Sharp wants a piece of this as well. That's a touch to the rear quarter panel of Paradiso, but he managed to keep it facing the correct way. So he's got to slow down. Now he's in the middle of a sandwich. Oh, and he spun out, needed to hold the throttle, and was a little too cautious. He is going to use that expansive runoff that you mentioned earlier, Nick.
Also took advantage there of that front wheel drive there. The thing just manages to right itself in the direction it's going. Just got to keep the boot in there as well. Talked about keeping the boot in there. Leigh Harrison there up the inside of Brenton Hobson. So we are going to see potentially a change in our lead pack here at the moment there. Brenton Hobson just a little bit further back there. Did not get a good run on that. So that might actually be under attack now by Andrew Hobby running down that hill.
Yeah, Hobson and Hobby right next to each other in the phone book, right next to each other on track at the moment through turn number 4. Again, leader just running that little bit wide off the curb in turn 4 where the runoff runs off away from you and you get sort of beached to the wrong side of the curb if you're not careful. You've got to be so precise through there. And Hobby is now in that precarious position where he's looking forward, but Aaron Oliver, never shy in making a move as well, is right behind him. It looked like Hobson got a little wide at the top of the hill there, so they are all still packed up in the top 5. Hydes and Lehman, 1 piece of contact, 2 piece of contact. We're going to get 3. Can we get 3? No, maybe on the exit. As they come through here, you can see Hydes gets held around the outside there, and he's reunited with his teammate in McFarlane. Now he wants back down the inside of Lehman again, though, and he will cleanly grab that spot away from Lehman. Big dive of the century from McFarlane, and now, oh, poor Lehman. 1 drop bear, 2 drop bear, 4 drop bear contacts.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be plenty of red paint there on the side of Lehman's car, so getting a bit of a dusting from both those drop bear cars there as well. Just having a look back at the moment, I think that might actually be Glenn Boyd there as well, so Glenn Boyd wanting a piece of the action. You just saw there on the window changing from 9th to 11th there, so Sam Lehman under a lot of pressure here.
Well wide outside of turn 1, puts him on a bad line for turn 2. Can Glenn Boyd get all the way around the outside, or is he going to try to swap back underneath into the slipstream? He can't get around the outside. We've seen that move happen once or twice before. It often leads to the car on the outside having to jump that curb and run through turn number 3's runoff. Famous runoff if you like some highlights of the 2003 Brazilian GP. And I do. I've got that on a VHS cassette somewhere.
Go there. I think Adam Sharp there with a fair bit of damage to the back of his Audi at the moment. There's Sam Lehman kind of leading this group there as well. Daniel Gomez we did see having a fair bit of contact there in race 1, hopefully keeping his nose just a little bit cleaner there at the moment. We're just seeing Adam Sharp with that inside line. I think that might be Anthony Connors behind these two as well.
That's how the bumper got like that, right?
Yeah, would have been something similar, I would say.
Oh, now Gomez's might look that way as they have a little bit of a rub there as well, and Favor gets returned. Gomez just holds him out a little wide, costs Anthony Connors' run. Wayne Losh is still lining up behind those drivers. Up the front, a bit of action. Leigh Harrison's looking around the outside of Jack Boyd, goes sort of higher up the track, drops back down into the slipstream to then look down the inside at turn number 1, and they are side by side. Jack Boyd breaks pretty deep around the outside, holds him tight, and in a metaphorical racing term, of course, and Jack Boyd will just hold on to that lead right in front of Leigh Harrison, but it brings Hobson and Hobby and Oliver right back into this. And Sam Lehman is going to be our first driver to make a pit stop. Just overshoots the mark a little bit. You saw he had to grab reverse gear. Boyd still having to fend off Harrison. Harrison playing a bit of a game of peekaboo there, but he's around the outside. And again, Hobson, Hobby, and Oliver not sure what to make of the leaders battling side by side, but as they come up towards Ferragura, I'd want to be in Leigh Harrison's shoes at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is actually going to hold this whole group up, and it's actually going to possibly bring, I know Vantagiata here is slightly adrift of this top 5 group there at the moment, but the more and more that these two at the front here choose to drive side by side, is absolutely going to slow them right up there. So I think potentially we might see a few of these cars now are going to be more or less tempted to get that pit strategy well underway.
We've seen, well, I think Thomas Martin last week, biggest winner of the pit early game. So is he going to think about the same strategy here tonight? We've got Sam Lehman as the first driver to have pitted. They're going to come up towards pit entry, and surely there's a few who are thinking about it. Martin's obviously closing in on Vantagiato. I'm told that he lost one of those headlights there when Hydes got out of sorts in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So no one pitting from the top 5, no one pitting from the top 7. Everyone else continuing on as well. That's Hobby well off his normal line. Aaron Oliver doesn't look like he's placed to pick anything off of that. Adam Sharp is going to stop though. So he's in the lane as our second taker. Goes sharply uphill right at the start of the pit lane there. Lets you go really deep on the brakes towards the commitment cone. And then it's a pretty quick pit lane speed limit of 72 kilometers an hour as well, I think. So the pit lane loss, not too bad here at Interlagos.
I think one thing to note as well there that pit entry is almost on the racing line. It is to the left a little bit as well, so you don't want to be too close up the rear so you can see kind of that distance between Andrew Hobby and Brent Hobson, so you don't want to be following that close as they come through on the straight there, because you could end up having that car in front quickly jump on that brakes for that pit entry as well. So it'll be something that they'll need to really communicate firmly with each other. You can see that these 5 are really slowing up there. You just see Thomas Martin and Vantagiato there gaining up on this, so it is going to make this group of 5 potentially a group of 7.
Could happen. Vantagiato was a second quicker than Boyd last lap as they did all of that side-by-side battling stuff through turn 1 and through turn 4. A little calmer up front since then, a little less aggressive. Is this Boyd signalling his intent to pit? Or is that just his normal line? No, it's the other way around. In fact, Leigh Harrison's going to dive to the pit lane. Aaron Oliver's going to follow him. Hobson and Hobby are going to stay out. Vantagiato, he's picked up a cone. He's picked up a traffic cone on his way into pit lane. Was he doing faster than 72 kilometers an hour when he got it, though, is going to be the big question. And watch how long these pit stops take. Big rush for the boxes on pit lane. You see all the cars go up on the jacks to take that mandatory tyre swap as well. Boyd, Hobson, Hobby continue in the lead, but this needs to be a perfect stop for Oliver and Harrison.
I think Vantagiato there was almost trying to use that cone as a bit of friction or something to slow him up. He was using all the brakes and then some. Very, very lucky there not to collect the rear of Aaron Oliver there, who would have only missed him by a couple of metres or so there. We just see
no speeding to Vantagiato. He's off the Jackson. He's going. So he's stopped just the regular 24 seconds like everyone else. Harrison in front of Oliver, in front of Vantagiato, in front of Martin, in front of McFarlane. Looks like they all left pit lane in the order that they entered. Very, very equal and similar pit stops. Here's Scaife almost giving just a little bit of Morse code to Glenn Boyd. They're definitely going to be thinking about pitting to cover off all of those other drivers they were battling who've already cycled on through.
Everyone's just sitting in here at the moment, so we're going to have our top 3 who are off screen at the moment. They're going to come through to see if any more take the lane here at the moment. They'll know pretty well that they've had Harrison and Oliver, and a few of the other top ones as well. Pit, so all 3 in the pits there as well. Nice and early on the brakes, so plenty of room given then. So that is going to be pretty much all of our front runners there, all in the pits. So cutting out to that wide shot, we're going to get a really good idea how we're going to have Jack Boyd. Probably had a guess there, he's going to be out in front of Leigh Harrison. Leigh Harrison there with a really ripper first lap out there. He's actually got quite a gap there on Aaron Oliver.
Sure would look like it, wouldn't it? He was also slightly quicker through the lane, and I think Aaron Oliver spent a little bit of his pit entry looking in his mirrors as well at what exactly was going on. So Boyd's rolling, Hobson's rolling, Hobby's rolling. Leigh Harrison has to come around the outside of turn 1, but then the shorter run through 2 and then he's probably going to have a good look at them as they exit through turn 3. Going longer, he is to have worked out relatively well for Jack Boyd though.
Yeah, Jack Boyd well and truly up the road here at the moment there, so Leigh Harrison's going to have just a little bit of an advantage there with slightly warmer tyres, so he's got a very narrow window there to try and capitalise on the rest of these three there at the moment. So well and truly clear there of Andrew Hobby. He will have to try and push just that little bit further to see if he can kind of get near Jack Boyd and Brenton Hobson.
Wayne Losh is leading the race until he makes his pit stop. Anthony Connors is up in second. Those now the only 2 drivers yet to pit. I think a few drivers got burnt last week, a few drivers got burnt the week before that, and everyone wants to make sure they've got their pit stop done before any potential safety car. This is what we mentioned, the pit exit can be difficult on cold tyres, and for Nick Scaife it's bitten 1, 2, 3. That's my kind of contact tracing. He's hit 3 pieces of arm coat because he just caught some of the grass in pit exit. Cold front tyres, understeer, grass, oversteer, arm coat.
Yeah, that's right. And then did a bit of a spin around as well, so you would have seen fog, Armco, sky, all kinds. Can't really tow from there. Well, he can tow, but it'd be a very long tow hook as well, being just outside of pit lane, so it does look like he is going to try and limp it around. Potentially may have to come back in and take a fast repair if he's got it. These 3 though, really bunched up. We did see there was quite a gap there between Harrison and Oliver there, but that gap has definitely closed there, potentially with the help there of Andrew Hobby, who's showing some really good pace there at the moment in 6th place.
Well, Daniel Gomez is getting punched around. He's going to lose 3 spots through turn 1 because, what was it? Vantagiato came through, opened the door. Thomas Martin made sure the door was still open, and then Corey McFarlane stepped through as well. Gomez has been through pit lane, but again, didn't take the compulsory tyre stop. There is Martin just making sure the door was still open as he came through turn 1. And then McFarlane was also lucky to be able to sneak through as well. So, as I say, Gomez has been through pit lane, but hasn't made the compulsory tyre stop.
Yeah, potentially.
Same thing happened in Watkins Glen.
Yeah, he seems to have a habit of maybe not putting his tyres aside for his pit stop coming in, but let's see what happens a little bit further on. We are looking a little bit further up the field. It was good to see as well Wayne Losh also helping out with some of the administration for a few of these series as well there, so good work volunteering. It is, I dare say it is a lot of work, especially in so many of these competitive leagues as well. A lot of questions and a few incidents and whatnot as well. But great to see him putting his hand up and volunteering as we're just having a look here. Harrison to Oliver to Andrew Hobby.
Yeah, this could be the battle for the final podium step at the moment because Boyd and Hobson are somehow magically 4 seconds up the road. I think their slightly later stop paid off because that outlap with cold front tyres is a bit sketchy, I think, especially in cool conditions as well. As McFarlane getting past Martin a little bit cleaner than we saw them get past Gomez. McFarlane is currently up into 9th after starting 19th. That's what that graphic tells us. And you can see a bit more action further up the road here as well. Hobby thinking, let's not make this 3 wide as Aaron Oliver gets in front of Harrison. And I suspect both of the other drivers are going to get a better run off that corner through turn 5 and then up the hill. We have seen some passing down the inside of Ferragura here. We've also seen a couple instances of a bit too much ambition and some contact. And Leigh Harrison is oh so close. Sometimes you can switch to the inside at the top of the hill here as well. But Leigh Harrison isn't going to do that just yet. And that would be an unwise move if he thought that this group could catch Boyd and Hobson.
Yeah, so Harrison just choosing to sit in there at the moment. He had been braking really, really early through Ferradura, so absolutely did feel like Aaron Oliver there potentially might just have a little bit more of a pace there. Aaron Oliver absolutely be pumped, of course, there with another podium as well. Andrew Hobby, I think, also getting a podium last round as well, so great to see some really good results from those. So we're just seeing Wayne Losh there and Anthony Connors taking the lane.
How's your Portuguese? Without reading the track file, what does Ferradura mean?
Means long, consistent corner.
Yeah, it also means horseshoe.
Oh shoot, there we go. I did remember reading once at Nando's that the Portuguese national anthem was the chicken dance, which I thought was real for a long time until I found out that it wasn't.
That's some real cheeky Nando's then, isn't it? Here's our last pit stops to be made. Losh and Connors. And Connors has beaten him through the lane there, 2-3 seconds faster. And did you see that? Just cranking a bit of steering lock in it through the pit exit there, checking that the fronts were going to grip. Wayne Losh almost had the problem that Nick Scaife had, and they've both been just trying to make sure that they could warm up those tyres as they came through pit exit. Oliver from Harrison from Hobby lost out about half a second to Jack Boyd on the last lap. So what they're doing at the moment isn't quite working for them. Got Nick Scaife in front of them, about to go a lap down to them because he's had to make that extra pit stop to fix up his car after his pit exit mishap. You mentioned a long trip on the tow truck from where he was at pit exit. I think they put him on the tow truck, sent the tow truck up to Rio, and then brought it back to Sao Paulo, and then let him continue racing.
Yeah, that's exactly right there. So he'll definitely, I dare say, he'll pull out to the side there as they come through on the straight. Oh, Leigh Harrison there making a... I haven't seen too many people run wide in that section of the corner, but definitely did so. It's actually given that upper hand to Andrew Hobby. It's actually opened up a little bit of a gap there as well. So Aaron Oliver, a little bit more safe than probably what he thought he was going to be. So he's going to have these two are going to be barreling in behind him. Oh, it's Vantagiato there, and I think one of the drop bed cars. It's a pretty wide track here, but they were covering all of it there. Oh, Nick Scaife there with a massive front-wheel drive fishtail. So just trying to get his bearings back there as well. Just saw the other drop bed car there. I think that might have been Caleb Hyde's come through, as well as Daniel Gomez. So not having a good run for Nicholas Scaife here.
Indeed. Losh has gotten his spot back that he lost in the pit stops. Hobby's taken third away from Oliver. This is the view from Oliver's nose. POV, you are the 4 rings in the grille.
Looking at the 4 rings on the boot, potentially in that very well painted Flight Centre car there. Even a little bit of a Flight Centre logo under that rear wing. That rear wing giving downforce, obviously, not light. I think we did make that joke, though, 2 rounds ago.
Oh, it's some low-hanging fruit. There's a side swipe and a half. McFarlane deep around the outside, just skimming like a pebble across the water along the door of Vantagiato. Martin is still watching them oh so carefully. But I reckon if they work together for a second here, they could catch these next 3. Given that they just lost a bit of time through turn 1 as it took Hobby a corner or 2 to actually get around Aaron Oliver. So you've got 2 cars for the lead, then this next 3 cars, then the next 3 cars. Keep an eye on that because that's your top 8. And all of them having a battle still. All of them have cleared their pit stop and there's still quite a bit to go in this one as well. This is the leaders. Hobson's been within a second or so of Boyd, and that slipstream has done what it does best in these kind of cars when you've got 2 consistent and relatively equal performing drivers. It's brought them right together.
Yeah, and then we coming down into, I think it's Descendant Del Lago there. Just seeing Aaron Oliver has hung it out the inside so many times where he hasn't. Talk about hanging it down the inside there. Vantagiato blocking off Corey McFarlane. That's actually going to slow them right up and bring Thomas Martin into the mix there as well. Oh,
it's the opposite side. They've had that skim on both of them. They're steering into each other down the straight. McFarlane's just not having it. He's tried everything to get to the inside into turn 4, cut back to the inside on turn 5, got squeezed there. They leaned into each other. Now he's going to try to come around the outside. Thomas Martin, again, doesn't know what to make of it. And I think... Oh, you aren't going to tell McFarlane he can't have the inside. He's made a bit of contact with Vantagiato. Vantagiato loses out 2 spots, stands on the throttle to get that front wheel drive to drive him out of the slide. But there was contact 3-4 corners in a row there, a couple laps in a row, hot heads between McFarlane and Vantagiato.
Still quite a long way to go there as well, so if there's not too much damage to Vantagiato, he might be able to pull himself back onto these 2, if these 2 maybe run a little bit wide, left and right, holding each other up there as well. Andrew Hobby there defending pretty well against both Aaron Oliver there and Vantagiato. So I actually think Thomas Martin could potentially be a bit of a dark horse in all this. He is second wheel to Aaron Oliver in the group, tailing in behind.
Precisely, we know McFarlane's got pace as well, so McFarlane could, pardon me, pull Thomas Martin up towards this pack potentially, especially if we see the battles kick off. Who's got the fastest lap of the race? Is it McFarlane? No, Leigh Harrison I think does, but only by a tenth or so. So you've really got to look at the racecraft and the average laps to have any idea of where the real pace lies. McFarlane certainly currently running in 6th. It started in 19th. And there's 3 cars just up the road he could still go for. This is the lead, nothing in it. Boyd and Hobson.
Yeah, Boyd and Hobson there, well and truly up the road there from Andrew Hobby. You can see there just on the graphic above. Nearly 7 seconds adrift of these two, so plenty of breathing room there between Brenton Hobson there and Jack Boyd. Showing exactly how it's done though, not having too many battles here so far and not too many incidents, just trying to keep that nose clean. A lot easier though when you're right at the front like these two there, not too many people trying to fight field position away, so they're absolutely just driving away from the field. We do remember even just a little bit, only a few laps to go there, Leigh Harrison was right up behind these two, so having that little bit extra longer pit stop is unfortunately for Leigh Harrison really blown his chances a little bit there. Brenton Hobson though.
Yeah, he's looking down the inside at turn 1. That's going to put him around the outside of turn 2. Plenty of action on the brakes to try to make that car turn for Jack Boyd. And they're still going to be side by side. And I think Boyd's going to lose out because he just can't hold on around the outside of turn 3. Brenton Hobson up into the lead. So the Valentine's cars that they got each other in Watkins Glen, I think they're going to get taken off the shelf and torn up because they swapped the lead again. Hobson's going to try to come back, but that was just absolutely parked on the exit from Jack Boyd. This is the kind of stuff that starts costing them time as they battle like this up the hill for Ferragura. He's looking for the inside, but Hobson's been around the block a couple times. He knows you've got to be a bit further down the inside than that to make a move stick.
Yeah, absolutely. There we did see, I think it was Andrew Hobby there was about 7 seconds adrift. He's actually bought him, look at that, 5.5 seconds now. So just even in battling in a few of those corners there, it's actually costing about 1.5 seconds here as well. So, you know, can't really catch it. I think just off frame. So these three are actually playing pretty nice here at the moment. They're not trying to put too many moves. They're actually working together. So it is actually closing that gap to Brenton Hobson and Jack Boyd there as well. Just trying to see who's behind these three as well.
Martin, McFarlane, Vantagiato, Caleb Hydes. I'll have a large popcorn and a raspberry Fanta Slurpee because McFarlane's gone off the track. He's out wide. He's well out wide, taking the Kimi Räikkönen route to rejoining from out there. And it's going to let Vantagiato and his teammate Caleb Hydes through. So Vantagiato back in front of McFarlane. McFarlane in the slipstream of his teammate to try to come back at Vantagiato in the final 13 minutes of the race.
Yeah, we see that Vantagiato there with his bit of his trademark breaking the slipstream down that straight there. Is it the San Paulo straight? So he's going to have a couple of drop bag cars there right in his mirror. You just see Corey McFarlane there, a little bit adrift here, but he's going to be able to pull himself back onto this pair here. Oh, trying to find some room where they can there as well. Vantagiato very heavily on the block there as well, so that's just going to keep giving that advantage to Corey McFarlane in behind. You can see Thomas Martin absolutely pulling that gap away from these two, so I think we're going to see, just as you were saying before, quite a bit of battling between these three.
This brings McFarlane right back into the picture. Hydes being the team player, just sort of grabbing Vantagiato by the jumper and stopping him from getting away. The lead, there's still 7 laps to go after this one for those guys. Plenty of time for them to sort out their disagreements. 6 seconds ahead of Hobby, Oliver and Harrison, who've maybe settled down for the long haul at the moment. Thomas Martin is 3 and 6th, and then 7th, 8th, and 9th. I get my rug out, put it on the grass, because I think this is where the fireworks display is going to be.
Yeah, we'll do see Vantage Yada there does not give an inch down the straight here as well. So you'll see, just as they come around here, their Caleb Hydes is going to be right up on his rear bar, trying to find a way behind there. Vantage Yada there taking a very, very shallow line, so it's going to make it very difficult there for Caleb Hydes to try and go around the outside. Oh, it's actually going to give him just that little bit of advantage there. Vantage Yada there running ever so slightly wide in the grass. That has given Caleb Hydes a little bit of advantage there. We've got McFarlane there. Oh, I don't know. I don't remember seeing that in the rule book there. As we're trying to see these two work out where they're going there. So not any love lost here at all between these two.
They've swiped on the left. They've swiped on the right. They've popped left 2 times. Everything you can imagine, except for sending each other into the arm code just yet. Late defense, some late attacks, some lunges, moving around in the mirrors, and you get plenty of mirror in these cars. It is all on for 8th and 9th here. McFarlane trying to continue his charge through the field. He's at the rear bumper. Nothing in it between himself and Vantage Yada. Vantage Yada is going to cover the inside, like he always does. McFarlane's going to fake one way, try to cut back around the outside. Maybe also do his buddy Hydes a bit of favour here and hold up Vantage Yada. Let Hydes maybe even get away. There's not a corner that he won't fake down the inside just to make Vantage Yada sweat for every single little bit. Inches away from doing what McFarlane did laps ago and ending up on a grassy adventure. But you're going to see Vantage Yada be best friends with the concrete pit wall on the left-hand side once again. It's his favourite line. Same thing up the lead. Oh, Hobson almost swapped back in front of Jack Boyd, but now through turn 3, he's going to get it. And way around the outside. So deep on the brakes for Vantage Yada. Swap back from McFarlane. Swap back again. He's trying to go over-under, over-under. Eventually, he's going to weave this tapestry. Battle for the lead on again. Where's our side-by-side, Mr. J?
Yeah, absolutely. Side-by-side, talking about, gee, these two really just fighting for absolute track space there, and a bit of a nudge. A bit more of a smaller nudge than what we've seen so far there, but Corey McFarlane is going to try and show a nose up the inside. Oh, they contact again.
I think the swipe counter is in double digits between those two. This is Club Day Masters for you, side by side on both screens, side by side on the side by side. This is what you bring the Audi TCR cars for, because with any quality of drivers, a little bit of slipstream, you're going to get battles like this. Hobson looks to just be winning in the battle for the lead. There's no mirror on the passenger side for Vantage Yada anymore, because McFarlane swiped it off. He's looking for one car with down the inside. He's going to make Vantage Yada try to cover that off. And again, there is nowhere McFarlane won't show the nose, and there is no white line or concrete wall Vantage Yada won't drive up to try to defend it. It's cracking stuff. It's exciting to watch. I just hope it doesn't end in tears. Honestly, I hope they can keep this up.
Yeah, it is actually really heating up at the front here as well. Brenton Hobson there up the inside of Jack Boyd. So these two choosing not to work together anymore. Hobson feels like he might have a bit more of that pace there. So just shuffling himself in front. Almost, you see these two almost mimicking that left and right screen there. And Vantage Yada there.
The wall, the nose is off, the tyres are down, and he has been sent by McFarlane trying to get down the inside. You need that helicopter shot from that, because Vantage Yada was not going to give a car's width down the inside. Where did he brake? Where would he normally brake? I'm going to try to pick up the VRS replay on this one. Since 15 minutes ago, surely you felt like this was what was going to happen. So it's a huge slipstream from McFarlane. He's right there. Vantage Yada up against the white line, up against the wall, getting pushed along, and then what? Well, the brakes are on pretty early from McFarlane, but clearly that is just right out into the wall for Vantage Yada.
I do think race control are going to have a bit to work through there. Unfortunately, there for Vantagiata, that is his race done. They were almost, you could say, really buying time by how much they were leaning on each other. There's really only so much luck can buy. Seeing these two at the front, though, it's starting to heat up between these two again. There, you just see Hobson fighting off Jack Boyd. This is bought. I think now it's almost going to be Leigh Harrison and the group of Andrew Hobby in behind. They're about 4 seconds back, so I think a little bit too far there to have a chance at these two. So you can see this group of three in behind Hobson and Jack Boyd are also starting to heat up between these as well.
A 3-car bump draft going along in third place, and they can catch these guys. Last lap, almost a second and a half off their best for Hobson and Boyd. Boyd in the slipstream. He's not going to wait this. Oh, he's going to look and he's going to back out of it. But still, not the fastest way through there for these two.
Seen a few clean sweeps here, I think, over the past few rounds as well. We have seen clean sweeps by both Brendan Hobson and Jack Boyd, if I'm not mistaken. So Jack Boyd would be up with that clean sweep if he can get that win again. These three, though, all fighting pretty hard here for that last podium position as well. So Andrew Hobby doing an absolute stellar job here fighting off these two.
Yeah, mid-43s from all these guys. We've seen Hobby's had some pretty strong pace so far at Interlagos. It's a track that I think I struggle at, but then if I'm struggling, someone else has got to be doing better at it than me, and this might just be Hobby's track. Oh, Martin and Hydes having a bit of a battle here. Martin trying to defend the inside. This is going to be the over-under from Hydes. He's going to get a pretty good run as the track keeps curving uphill and towards the pit straight. I think sixth place could be in trouble here for Martin. He's almost just going to give away the inside to Hydes. He's going to come back, not squeeze in too tight towards the pit wall.
Running it nice and through that centre-S as well. So, Thomas Martin just giving each other enough room there, as we did see before with Corey McFarlane and Vantagiata there. Not as much gap given. So Jack Boyd, though, bit of an overtake in a section that we don't normally see too often. So these two still going wide as well. So they'll be down to about 3 seconds, that gap to that second group. Still not enough, though, for them to be able to get back on. I think we've only got a few laps left in this.
Hobson runs it all the way out and gives Jack Boyd no space there. That gets him into the lead, but only momentarily, because it was an attempted over-under from Jack Boyd. This is what you want to see if you're Andrew Hobby. There's still 2 laps to go after this. Hobby's gone from being 7 seconds off the lead to 3.5 seconds off the lead. I call it almost 3 seconds off the lead now. He just needs this to happen for another lap or two, and he could be there. Oliver and Harrison behind him with some cool heads as well. Wide run up the hill for Hobson. Still just in the way. Oh, there's somehow a car's width for Jack Boyd to squeak his nose down the inside. So side by side they go, and you can see Hobby looming in the background. He's going to be loving this as they come to the line with 2 more laps to go. Could have been a photo finish if it was 2 laps further into this race. They are oh so close. Jack Boyd is just going to take away the lead of the race. He's going to have to leave a car's width still to Boyd and Hobson. But Jack Boyd has his nose in front at the moment, but corner by corner it seems to change.
Yeah, absolutely there, especially very lucky there for Jack Boyd not to hit those tyres and that concrete wall there of, I think it's called Archie Bancatis there, the bleachers. Just see them go through on the lower part of the circuit there. Brenton Hobson, thankfully plenty of grippy AstroTurf there, not off into the grass, but these two absolutely running it wide there. I was almost counting my chickens saying that this following group wouldn't be able to catch them there, but I think they're only about 2 and a bit seconds adrift here, so...
You tempted fate.
Yeah, I might have put the commentator's curse on myself. Still running it too wide, so they're going to keep losing seconds and seconds there. You can see in that rear vision mirror shot that light center Audi there of Andrew Hobby is a little bit further back there.
Headlights cut through the fog on the rear facing shot as well, which is why you should turn your headlights on when it's raining. That's a public service announcement, not from SimSpeed, just from me personally, but sure, why not? Oh, and that's wide there from Hobby, right as he needed a good run coming towards the start of the final lap. Bowled a little bit of a wide at Junsao. Just gonna maybe let Hobson and Boyd off the hook for the final lap. I think that is a goodbye from Adam Sharp, and he deposits a couple of wheels back across the racetrack as well. So, Jack Boyd, Brenton Hobson battling in Brazil on the final lap, and Hobson got sent well out wide in turn 1, has to leave some room into turn 3. Jack Boyd at the lead. Andrew Hobby 1.7 seconds back as they go on this one. Final lap of the race, so no respect for the track limits by Leigh Harrison. No respect by Brenton Hobson either. Is he too far back to attack in 4? He maybe just is, but there's no room for mistakes between the top 2 because here comes Hobby, here comes Oliver, and here comes Harrison as well. Here comes Hobson. He's once again at Ferradura looking around the outside. It hasn't done much for him in past, but he's trying for it one more time. Just keeping it up high, up wide, braking deep to try to take away the inside at the next corner, and he's just going to get his nose up there as well to force Boyd round the outside. And again, as always happens in this sector, it's Boyd with the inside for the next corner, where you want to be. He's not going to give up anything whatsoever, is Brenton Hobson. And hello, here comes Hobby and co as well. Hobson inside for the final corner. Track limits, what on earth are they, says Jack Boyd. He's going to swoop for the over-under. That's an illegal move in most circumstances, I would think. He's trying to drag race Hobson to the line. Hobson's going to stick to the inside, surely, not give a lane. Is there going to be time? This is sort of Gasly, Hamilton kind of stuff. Hobson's got his nose in front. Hobson's just going to take the lead from Jack Boyd. And then Hobby, Oliver, and Harrison. There's going to be a couple handbrake skids here tonight. Here comes the drop there, guys, for the next group of cars. Hides in front of McFarlane, in front of Martin. Flash of the headlights from McFarlane. He's come from back of the grid to 7th, and then back to 7th as well. So he's had a topsy-turvy up and down race for sure. Glenn Boyd and Daniel Gomez, it looks like, are going to complete the top 10.
Yeah, you'd almost say that if it was one more lap there of Hobson and Jack Boyd, would have actually brought those 3 back into that group of 5 there again, but that chase, unfortunately, not quick enough, and right there on the last lap, I think they might have only been a second or so off that leading pair.
Well, here you have it. Brenton Hobson, a car's length from Jack Boyd. Andrew Hobby closing them on the final lap, just too late. Aaron Oliver in 4th, Leigh Harrison in 5th. A bit of a gap to the next pack. Hides, McFarlane, Martin, Glenn Boyd, Daniel Gomez. Brenton Hobson, I think, since last round, has managed to improve his handbrake skiddies because he's got them going on his lap back to the pit lane. The rest of the field, Sam Lehman, Anthony Connors, Wayne Lott, Greg Holmes, Darren Sharp, Philip Paradiso, and Adam Sharp. Nick Scaife and Vantagiato, a retirement, or did he get back out on track? I think that was a retirement there.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate for Vantagiato there. He definitely both between him and Corey McFarlane, little bit of a dust up there, but great work there by Brenton Hobson, ripping plenty of handbrakies up and down the straights here at the moment. You'd almost think it was Engadine Macca's potentially.
No, please no.
It's a very subtle reference there.
Oh yeah, subtle as a sledgehammer, mate. Here he is, right? Look at that. Gets it right out sideways, counter steering into it, gives it a bit of the boot on his way towards the apex, brings the nose back around. I think he had 70 degrees of angle going on there, and then I mean, it's impressive in slow-mo. It was pretty good in real time as well. He actually wasn't going that quick. I think Interlagos was a good track for us. If anything, the slipstream might have been overpowered at Watkins Glen, exciting as that was. I think it was just right here.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with those heavy winds as well. So it did throw it more into more of a technique than just pure strategy that we kind of have with Watkins Glen. Like Watkins Glen doesn't, their corners are all quite shallow and quite quick, except for that, I suppose, the big loop at the end. But yeah, definitely Interlagos, lots of rotation, lots of kind of managing those tyres as well.
Oh, there's a great Brenton Hobson angle. And let's get another angle of Brenton Hobson, bring him into the commentary booth. Well, good qualifying for race number 1, second in race number 1, and then the win in the feature race here. You and Jack Boyd were working together a little bit a week ago. Didn't look like it so much today.
No, we got ourselves in that second race. We had a nice lead over the pack, so we had the luxury to do a bit of fighting. We almost did it too much. We almost let him get back in the battle there, but it's almost too tempting at a track like this. The racing can be so much fun if you've got a bit of respect between two drivers, and that's exactly what was happening tonight. So, as always, good fun racing, Jack, and hopefully it was good to watch.
It's quite interesting to watch, I think, from the top of the field all the way through, and you definitely were at the pointy end through that. Pretty straightforward, I think, with the pit strategy today in the absence of a safety car. You got any thoughts to share about that one?
Well, I kind of goofed my strategy a little bit. I overfueled on the stop, so I probably should have come out right with Jack, and then had to work for a few laps to sort of catch back up to him. But the strategy was pretty straightforward. I wasn't expecting a safety car tonight, but that I had that happen to me at Silverstone as well, where I wasn't sort of expecting one and then got burnt. So I wasn't going to hang it out too late. Saw Leigh duck in, pushed in hard for one lap to put a good lap in on the in lap, and I thought Jack would come, and he did, and so did everyone else. So we had people to work with, and it was pretty standard. I mean, I think that's the strategy you'll see most of the time is everyone pushes on, and then someone ducks in and decides to bite the bullet and pull that pit stop, and then everyone else will just react the following lap, more or less. So pretty standard tonight, yeah.
Another couple of races, another couple of podium positions. It looks like your handbrake skids are improving.
Yep, I've made sure that I did a better job of that tonight, because last week was a disgrace. So it wasn't great, but it was better.
Well, what else to say other than congratulations, and whatever congratulations is in Portuguese as well. Second and first, you get some of that championship back on track. Any catching Jack Boyd?
I don't think there's ever any catching Jack Boyd. I mean, we've probably got the pace to go punch to punch with him, and we started out okay, but the two bad rounds that we've had, probably a little bit too much. But you never know. You never know what might happen. So, I mean, we'll push on, and I'm just glad to have 2 good weeks in a row. That's a first. So, we're headed in the right direction, and if we can keep having racing like that every week, then it's worth the turn up fee every single time. Like the time you put into coming and racing this sort of stuff is 100% worth it if you're going to get good racing like that. So that's all that really matters.
Onwards and upwards. And what are the names on the car?
Thanks to the guys at Synergy Sim Racing. Good bunch. And JK Signs, Aftershock PC, Smith & Sons, Speedway Shop, Photo, DM Cinematography, and all the rest that I've no doubt forgotten there. Thanks to the guys that put the league on, because without that, we wouldn't be here doing it. And thanks to you guys for the broadcast.
You beaut. Catch you around.
Thanks, guys.
I didn't mean to do that. Well, Nick, I will give you the honour. You pick who you want next.
We will drag in... Oh, there is no choice. Actually, there is a choice. We'll bring in Leigh Harrison. Leigh, how you doing there? Congratulations on your, I think 3rd place there in race 1, as well as your 5th place there in the feature.
Thanks, Dave. It was a good race. We nearly got there in the end. Is it Dave or am I on with Nick? I'm on with Nick.
Tell me, Dave.
We nearly got there in the end in that feature race. I don't know. We've got to analyse what happened there in the pit stop. Those guys had a 4 or 5 second faster pit stop than us. So some work to do.
To be fair, actually, after seeing our replay up on the big notice board there of the iRacing page, I didn't realise that Dave and my voices do sound kind of similar, so I certainly don't blame you. But congratulations as well. I honestly thought there in that feature race that the trio of I think it was Andrew Hobby, Aaron Oliver, and yourself were actually going to be contesting for the lead. Unfortunately, I think it might have just been a lap short.
Fell 1 lap short, but you don't put it past Hobson and Jack. They knew the gap that they had to play with. They spent a couple of laps dicing and wasted four of the seconds, and then they spent the next few laps sort of holding stations again, and it really kicked off with the last couple of laps. So, yeah, look, we nearly got there. We probably weren't as fast as we should have been as well in our little trio, but hey, that's racing, and it was just an exciting race to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great seeing that strategy as well. It did seem like everyone was very mindful about the safety car this time, making sure getting their pit strategy in nice and early. Was there a strategy that you had in mind going into it?
I'd try and get the stop out of the way, as soon as we can fuel up and go to the end. These cars are absolute boats when you pit and you've only got to pit for 2 tyres. If we take fronts, they plough absolutely crazily for the first couple of laps. But if you take rears, you run out of fronts towards the end of the race. So with the long sweeping corners, couldn't take the chance on running out of fronts. Took fronts for the pit stop, and yeah, just tried to spend as little time as we could on fresh tyres in the middle of the race there.
Absolutely. So preparing for next round, I'm just trying to cast my mind where we are actually next week.
Motegi.
At Motegi. So there we go. So I'm sure that you'll be getting your practice and stuff dialed in for that. Any sponsors and people you'd like to thank?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, we've got SimWorks on the side of the car. SimWorks Race Simulators goes a long way. Their support, their gear is absolutely second to none. Seen massive sort of gains. My consistency this season's been heaps better using their equipment. Automotive towing, extreme air conditioning, now global logistics, Palmer's skincare. Of course, you guys for putting on the broadcast, and as always, thanks to my wife for giving up the time, and to all the other drivers for signing in tonight and having a bit of a go.
Also, special mention as well, I think, to Wayne Losh as well. So standing up to do some volunteering with the administration work.
Yeah, that's in tomorrow night's league, not this.
In tomorrow night's league. I knew I'd be 50% right. I'm like, I'll just throw it out there and see how it goes out.
Yeah, no, look, it goes without saying that leagues like this don't happen without a whole heap of hard work. I think a lot of people underestimate the time that it takes to put something like this together. It's not just sit at the sim on a Monday night and race. There's so much else going on in the backgrounds. I'm sure you guys would attest to this. So even for guys like Wayne to put their hand up and offer up their free time to assist us to take some of the pressure off, gives us some more time to think about some cool and exciting things that we get to do, and hopefully spend some more time trying to make the league even better for all the guys that jump on board. So look, yeah, appreciate everybody's help. Appreciate Greg. Appreciate Ivan. Appreciate everybody that jumps on board to help out with this league. Like I said, it doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and sometimes it's thankless, and sometimes it's not. It doesn't affect our bank balance at the end of the day. But we like to put it on, and for the appreciation of all the drivers that jump on every Monday night.
Yeah, so for Monday night, shout out to Wayne Losh just for being a good bloke. So there we go.
Exactly right.
Well, congratulations, League. Great consistent results, and we'll definitely catch you next week.
Oh, thanks, mate. We'll talk to you soon.
There we go. There's one more driver hanging around like a bad smell that we can't seem to get rid of. So let's grab Aaron Oliver, a 5th and a 4th. Keep that up. It'll be a 3rd and a 2nd and a 1st. How'd you find the racing today? You were always in the thick of it, it seemed.
Oh yeah, absolutely awesome, boys. It was a great night of racing, to tell you the truth, especially coming back from bloody where were we last week? I can't even remember. It was a week ago, but
Glenn.
yeah, it was definitely a lot better than last week. That's for sure.
It seemed like the packs really stuck together today, but not with the slipstream that was so ridiculous that everyone could attack at every corner all the time. It just sort of kept everyone magnetized together.
Yeah, no, certainly a track like that, it's very tight and twisty, and if you can have a nice clean battle with someone and just stick to it, it's clean racing and everyone stays very close together. And by battling, as we saw in the last couple of laps with Jack and Hobbo, you catch up so much. It's ridiculous, I think at one stage during that race we were over 8 seconds behind them, and then the last lap I was 1.2 seconds from the lead. So it's pretty crazy in general.
Was that on your mind in the last couple laps of this feature race? Just stick with Hobby and see if he can catch the lead?
It was on my mind for the last 20 minutes of the race, mate. There's no point fighting around that point of the race. You always want to go further forward. The idea is to win the race, not to battle for 5th or 6th.
Yeah, well, precisely. Looked like Hobby also had quite a lot of pace today, though. You would have spent a lot of time watching him and his lines. Is this some of the best pace you've seen from him?
Absolutely, mate. He's on top of his game. I mean, he's putting in the hours on the sim, doing the practice where you need to, and yeah, he's driving absolutely awesome. He's got his hands right around the bloody TCR car, and yeah, unfortunately, it just wasn't good enough to get it past him in the end.
And Interlagos generally, favourite corners, least favourite corners. It's a pretty simple layout on paper, but then you get a lot of undulation and some unpredictable curbs and some paved runoff and some grass runoff and an interesting pit exit as well. I mean, where was the action zones for you across both races?
I found most of my passes happening down into, I think it's turn 3 before the left-hander. And yeah, just getting down there was great. And then obviously through the back section, I'm not too sure what the corner numbers are, but through all the tight, twisty stuff, the left, rights, and the obviously the off-camber corners is awesome to race through too, especially when you're right behind another car and you're having some awesome close battles.
What about the fog and the wind out there? The weather conditions, were they, particularly the wind, how noticeable is that?
To be completely honest, I didn't notice the wind too much tonight. It didn't really affect my driving style at all. I did notice that I had to have the nose a lot more pointed, and I tried to drive it on the front a lot more, just to get the drive through the corner and keep it nice and tight. It might not have paid out in the end with a bit of tyre degradation, but overall it was a solid car throughout the whole race. With the fog, yeah, it was noticeable, but it was actually quite cool to race in. It's something that we haven't done before. I'm not too sure how it looked on the stream, but yeah, it was definitely quite thick at some points throughout the race.
Well, I think your biggest fan, your old man's been watching the stream as well. You're going to give him a shout out and anyone else while you're at it?
Yeah, absolutely. To all the guys tuning in tonight. I know Dad's been coming in a couple of times throughout the night and letting me know how I'm going on the stream, which is good to know. But yeah, to all the guys out there that support SimSpeed and Club, what is it now? I think it's Australian Touring Car or something, or Club Day Masters. Thank you. Obviously, we can't do it without you guys, and especially SimSpeed for broadcasting it.
Delightful. See you next week in Japan.
Cheers, boys. See ya.
Well, that's everyone. Final point, Nick. Why would no one tell me we were on the iRacing Facebook page? It was like 2 days ago, and I didn't know.
Cam Dance let me know. That's how I found out.
Oh, and he likes you more than me, apparently. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, thanks.
Hang on, I've got a really good plug there. You'll be able to catch iRacing as well as SimSpeed on... That video was on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
There you go. So, for all of us here at Interlagos, thanks for tuning in on SimSpeed. Apparently, you'll see the highlights on the iRacing page at some point. No, maybe today wasn't quite as exciting as at Watkins Glen, or maybe didn't have that same action-packed moment, but it was good all the way through across both races. Next week, Twin Ring Motegi on the road course. That's always an interesting one. A track maybe a little more stop-start than the flowing nature of Interlagos. So let's get ready for that one. 16th of August, same time, here on all of our SimSpeed channels. I've been David Haynes. That's been Nick Scariev. Jay Kennedy pressing the buttons, doing what I tell him when I want a side-by-side. I'm a little diva and I get what I want, apparently. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Club Day Masters, once again, is made possible by these businesses and supporters. Thank you to them making Club Day Masters and the SimSpeed broadcast possible. See you next week.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness! Half the field's gonna get rolled.
Section's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?